What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. My name is Christian Jamal. I run two seven-figure agencies, and in this video, yet again, I'm going to break down some sauce that nobody else on the internet is sharing. I processed over 1,000 high-ticket transactions with this sales strategy. This has proven to have about a 60-70% close rate once someone does show up onto the call. Now, obviously, granted, they do have to be qualified at some level to book the call, but nevertheless, this presentation itself is the reason that we've been able to close over 1,000 high-ticket transactions. A lot of people say don't have a pitch deck, don't have a presentation. I am totally against that. The minute we implemented the presentation, everything changed for us. But nevertheless, I'm not going to show you the exact one that we use. Like, I'm not going to show you the one we use internally for our company. That's obviously for the agency blueprint students. However, I'm going to show you the framework so that you can take it and copy it. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what is the purpose of every slide and why you want to set it up in this certain fashion, in this certain order to get the highest ROI on your meetings. I know it's hard to book them, so when you do book them, you want to get the highest ROI possible. All right, guys, so just to show you a breakdown of what this looks like, obviously you would have to go create it yourself. I would suggest using something like Canva or whatever it may be to create your slides. But before we get into these 13, I want you obviously to bear with me because I'm going to give you some sauce for every single bullet point and why it's there. Now, the first thing before we get into it, make it look nice. Like, I really, like, sometimes I see presentations done for certain companies and dude, you're advertising marketing services. Like, if you don't look like you know how to design something, nobody's going to want to work with you. Like, this presentation in of itself, the presentation of this pitch deck, if you will, is going to dictate whether or not it works as well. So not just the information, but also what it looks like. So first things first, I would say the intro slide is important. It's not the most important thing just because this slide is mainly based on you sharing it at the beginning of the call before anything happens. Like, a lot of times, like, I wait for the client to jump on, my camera and my microphone is turned off, my screen is shared on the intro slide, and then I open up my camera just so that the client comes in or the prospect comes in thinking, oh shit, these people know what the hell they're talking about. These people seem legit. They're not just a couple people on the other side of the screen. This is a legitimate company, right? So on this slide, don't make it too complicated. Just put your logo, website, whatever it may be on there. Just make it look professional, make it look techy, make it look nice, right? So the purpose of this slide is to set expectations. Yeah, I can't type, but the whole purpose of the slide is to set the expectations. You want the slide at the beginning because before you jump into the rest of the call, you want to say something along those lines, something along the lines of, just so you guys know, like, we're business fanatics. I'd love to sit down and talk to you about your business for hours. But obviously, to make sure that we spend our time wisely and your time wisely, it's best if we stick to 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes max. Is that cool with you? And then when they say cool, you say, all right, cool. And then you move on to the next slide. The next slide, it's basically a credibility slide. Credibility. Now, you might not have this at the beginning, but you have to work on building it. Even the most little of things use as credibility. If you don't have credibility, start to build credibility. Reach out to people. Try to get featured on their blogs, whatever it may be. So I'll give you an example. For us, what we do, and keep in mind, this is not something that you get on day one. It's, let's say we have awards. We have been featured on Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, all these things, right? Now, as compared to other people, we've actually been featured on the real website, not the BS Indian version of the website that someone charged them $100 to get them featured on. Like, this is like legitimate publications. And if you do get legitimate publication, you can literally say that. And there's a lot of people that sell PR services that tell you, hey, listen, I can get you featured on this to try out our service. Or even if they tell you, hey, listen, I want to charge you this much to get you on these crazy websites, just say, hey, listen, I don't know if you can get me on there. We've never done business together. Can you get me on a smaller website for $20, $30, $50, or even for free, right? Like, you can negotiate these things. Start stacking up your credibility. So at the beginning of this slide, usually what I like to say is, we're going to have tons of time to talk about your business. Before we dive into that, I want you to feel comfortable sharing that information with us. So I want to introduce ourselves. I'm going to take maybe 2-3 minutes. Is that cool? And they say yes. You introduce yourself. And typically here, what you want to do is you want to make it a little nonchalant. You want to make it as if, like, yeah, we've been featured on Forbes. Like, it's chill. Like, it's nothing special, right? Like, because you want to say that, listen, this is cool. it's important for you to know, like, number one, we've been around for a while. Number two, we know what we're talking about. Like, a lot of people take us as a reputable source. But what's important is what we've done for others. And then you jump into the next slide, which is the case studies. I like to make this slide like either 4 or 6 case studies so that you can show that you've done it a bunch of times. Now, you might not have this at the beginning. So let's say theoretically you partner with a media buyer, or theoretically you partner with some sort of content team or whatever. You can show your work on there. And remember, it's all about the numbers. Nobody cares how many impressions you got them. Tell them how much they spent, how much money they made. It's that simple. That is what sells. Like, what you've done before sells you. Now you can say something along the lines, and keep in mind, if you have 6 on there, there's no need to go through all 6 of them and read it like a presentation. No, like, go through it, skim through it, and only talk about the things that are important, right? Now, if you are a niche company, then obviously, like, all of them will be the same business and the prospect will be the same business. So you can maybe pick 2 or 3 of them. It doesn't matter. But if you're a general marketing company and you are advertising for a lot of different niches, put businesses from niches that you know you're very successful in, that is also likely going to be one of the niches that the prospect is in, and then talk to them about it. And no matter what, if you are a general marketing company, try to find a niche that is similar to them, right? And I'll just give you an example. Let's say someone jumps in and you want to help them get more leads for their health insurance business. Let's say you've never worked with health insurance, but you've worked with, let's say, mortgage protection or car insurance or whatever it may be. Try to relate the fact that they are both in the insurance space and both lead generation based businesses to make the case study make sense. Okay, if you're a niche business, you're not going to need to worry about that. But nevertheless, that's pretty much it. The next part is you say, well, thank you so much for listening about our business. Now it's time for us to listen about your business. Now tell me a little bit about your situation. Here you want to know about 3 things. You want to know their revenue to see if they can actually work with you. And you want to see their setup right now. So like you want to know who's running their ads, how big is their team, X, Y, Z. And then you also want to find out how much urgency exists with this person. Are they trying to solve this problem now, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever it may be. So let's say setup and then urgency. The next slide, you want to find out what their goals are. So they told you their situation. This is based on a concept called spin selling. So these two, so spin stands for, I'll show you. Spin, it's situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. And I'll give you guys like a quick breakdown. I'm not the biggest fan of the OG spin. I mean, it's good, it works, right? Like it's obviously a famous method of sales. I'm not the biggest fan of it because it sounds like a sleazy salesperson. And at the end of the day, if you want to build a good company, you want to be able to actually give good advice on these calls. So this is not like a sales call. This is like an interview call to see if you guys would be a good fit to work together. Some people say that, but in reality, all they're doing is selling. I want you to genuinely like see if you can help these people. Like if you can't help these people, like straight up tell them. It will save you a ton of time. It will save you a ton of headache. And honestly, it's just a better way to do business, right? So I believe that situation and problem is good because in this situation, what you would say is something along the lines of, tell me more about your business. Problem is, what problems are you facing in your business? Implication is, if you don't solve these problems, how will your business operate in 6 months, 3 months, whatever? I think that's a very weak line to use. And then need payoff is something along the lines of, if I could solve these problems in the next 30 days, what would that do for your life? What would that do for your business? I think it's a sleazy salesperson way of selling. I think this is extremely outdated. I like the first 2. So the first 2 I'm going to highlight as the things we do here. And then the next 2 I'm going to highlight in red because it sounds like a 12-year-old's trying to sell you their mac and cheese. You know what I mean? Like it's terrible. The next part is obviously the problems. You want to really dive deep here because you really want to understand their pain points. Because here, what you are doing is you're collecting ammo, right? Not just in this part, but in every part of the sales call. You're trying to collect ammo because everything up to the price, right? When you show the price, now people start to tell you, oh, I got to talk to my partner. I got to do this. I got to do that. So before you pitch price, that's the mistake most people do is, yes, you might follow the correct presentation, but you do the sales call wrong because what you're trying to do is you're simply either trying to go through it so fast and you pitch price too early, and now the client sees no value in you because all you wanted to do is charge them, or the other way around where you take so long to pitch price that now the client feels like you're regular, like you have infinite time to give them. which they don't want either. So you got to find that little sweet spot in the middle, which is why I like the 30 to 40-minute range. And by 40 minutes, I mean like they already had paid and signed the agreement and everything. So like I'm talking about 30 minutes or 25 minutes. You should have already pitched price at 25 minutes, right? That's in most cases. Obviously, if you're talking about enterprise level corporate businesses, that's a completely different sales process. I'm talking about how to sell businesses a $1,500 to $3,000 service. Okay. So the next slide is a strategy, like our strategy. What you want to do is you want to do you versus others, right? So let's say you're selling email marketing services. You want to showcase what you do and how is it different from other people. And keep in mind, every single one of these is to collect ammunition and answer a potential objection that the client might have later after price, right? So what I believe is this is what happens. So before price, any resistance you get is what I call an obstacle. You're trying to avoid that obstacle. And after price, it's an objection. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to go through the entire presentation by handling objections before they come up through the form of an obstacle, right? So like, let's say here the client says, our strategy versus yours. They say something along the lines of, let's say this slide doesn't exist and you pitch price. The client will later say, well, how are you different, right? So rather than handling the how are you different objection, why don't you answer it from the beginning? It makes you a lot more professional. It gives the client, the prospect, a lot less things to be able to ask you, which makes even the worst salesperson perform better because they seemed more prepared. Does that make sense? So do a you versus others. I don't care if you're selling the most generic service in the world. Figure out how you can be unique from others, because I mean, that's not my job. My job is not to make your business unique. My job is to show you what worked for me. Your job is to make your business unique. Take this framework and apply it to your business. Okay. The next part is something what I call a screenshot worthy slide. There was one time I hopped on a call with someone and they showed me this crazy slide and I wanted to take a screenshot so bad that I remember muting my computer so they couldn't hear the sound of the screenshot. And I remembered that for a while after, because I respect good sales. And I was like, fuck, like I need a screenshot worthy slide. I need a slide that people, when they see it, they feel like it's so valuable that they need to take a screenshot, because if they don't take a screenshot and they let's say can't afford the services, they will be missing out, right? So make it a screenshot worthy slide. In our situation, we show people a 9-step process on how we generate them results. You can do a million different things, right? But just put boxes and arrows and emojis and people and circles and shit. Like just make it crazy, okay? Just make it screenshot worthy, okay? The next part is, this one is, I would say this one is probably optional, but it's good to have, okay? It's good to have for later. I don't think it increases the close rate that much. I think maybe like 3 to 5%, but we'll take that. You know what I mean? So the journey is something along the lines of stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it may be. And it's basically you break down every stage and what it looks like, and you don't have to go through every little bullet point here, right? Basically explain like stage 1, this is where we're at right now. Stage 2 is 2 weeks in. Stage 3 is a month later. Stage 4 is 2 months later. And stage 6 is whatever, right? Like you guys get the point. Like you show them a process, right? Because if you're simply selling something that is going to solve their pain right now and you can't solve their pain right now, you're likely not going to be able to showcase what it's going to look like to partner with you. The whole purpose of the journey slide is to show them that, hey, listen, like this is what it's going to look like working together. It's going to be a journey. We're going to work together. We're going to figure it out. We're going to be invested in your business. You're going to be invested in this project with us just as much. Okay. So fairly simple concept. The next slide, in my opinion, this is the most important slide. Are we a good fit? Okay. You can use things along the lines of, is there any box we don't check for you? You want to make sure that this slide, you don't go to the next slide unless they explain that they are a good fit. If they tell you, oh, well, I don't know if I'm a good fit, I haven't heard price. You say, yeah, of course, like price aside, we don't care about that. What we care about is if we are a good fit. Is there any box on the service level that we don't check? Do you feel that you're 100% confident that price aside, if we were to work on your business, that you generate results? Things along those lines. So like, are we a good fit is huge. It's it's really them basically selling themselves to you as they're going to be a good business partner. Okay. So you don't move on from the slide until you handle all the obstacles they give you. Because a lot of times here, if they tell you things like, oh, I don't understand what happens in stage 3 in the journey, or I don't understand what was this thing on the screenshot worthy slide, go back. Don't go forward. Go back, handle that obstacle, go back to are we a good fit, and ask that same question again. And then you keep looping. Like you get to are we a good fit? They say X, you handle X, and then you go back to this. And you keep looping around that circle until they say, without a doubt, that you check all their boxes and you are a good fit, besides the price. The next part, you want to show them packages, right? You can have 1, 2, 3, or even 4 packages. I've seen it work up to that. Anything after that, it becomes like a little too much. Show them what they're getting with each package, so that they can decide. But you want to kind of like suggest what is best for them based on previous clients that you have, as well as what is best for their business size, right? Because that's the thing is, if I made a business $10,000 and that business was making $5,000 a month, now they're making 15, it's huge. But if a business is making $1 million a month and I make them 10,000, it's irrelevant, right? So you got to see which package is the best fit for your prospect. So, and here is where I genuinely say, like, treat it like it's your business. If you were that business owner, what is actually going to help them hit the goal that they told you about in step 5, right? So after you break down the packages, and the reason I say without price and then with price is because if you show a slide with a bunch of info and there's price on there, the only thing the prospect will look at is the price. I want you guys to break down the packages, have them pick which one they feel is the best fit for them, and then show the price, right? And a lot of times it's nice to have multiple price ranges because you can also anchor, right? Like let's say you have an insanely expensive package, but you want people to opt into the middle one. They will see the most expensive one and be like, wow, this is crazy. I can't believe that a business that charges, let's say, $20,000 a month has a service for $3,000 or $5,000 or whatever. So you show it as an anchor. People are willing to pay you $20,000. That means whatever you're doing for 3, 4, 5,000 is awesome, right? So use that as an anchor. And in the off chance that someone does sign up for your 20K a month, then we'll take that. That's awesome. Okay. So after you pitch price, this is something I call assuming the sale. So assume the sale, like instantly when they tell you this is the right package, you show them the price and you move on to the next steps. Okay. So the next steps you explain is number 1, like you signed the contract. Number 2, we process the invoice. Number 3, we get you onboarded, whatever it may be. You can obviously have multiple steps, extra steps. It's really based on your service. Let's say you're doing content. It can be something along the lines of we schedule your shoot or whatever it may be. Now, here's where your objections are going to start coming up. Now, I'm not going to go through objections in this video because there's so many of them. And well, inside our agency blueprint, we give people a list of all the objections as well as all the ways to handle them, right? So obviously this is pretty elite information. So this is not going to be available for free on YouTube. I hope you guys understand this. But nevertheless, this right here, I mean, this video alone, I know like it's a fairly simple setup. It's nothing crazy. It's on a Google Doc. But this right here is worth millions, right? I showed you guys a screenshot of me processing over 1,000 transactions. It was 1,040 transactions at the time of recording this video. That was a high ticket, literally like sold just like this, right? So I'm literally giving you guys some sauce. I'm showing you proof it works. And I'm telling you exactly why each step is the way it is. I'm not simply just regurgitating information that I saw on YouTube. This is literally what I use in my business, okay? So that's pretty much it in my opinion. The 13 steps, you can expand on this. We are always upgrading our presentation. So 13 steps is not how it was on day 1, but we eventually upgraded to this and we find that this is the highest close rate. Again, as long as someone shows up to the meeting and they're a qualified individual, you are about 60 to 70% likely to actually convert this person if you follow this structure and you do it the right way. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop me a sub. I'm trying to drop some good content over here, as well as comment what you guys think of the structure. And if you guys have tried it, please come back and let me know how it worked out for you.